Hey guys, how you doing? We got a new addition to the NSLC here tonight. Very interesting. I think it just came this week. I don't know if it's a permanent addition to the lineup or if it's just a special one-time deal or whatever. But if you see it in your local NSLC, you should probably pick it up. It is, of course, Cobblestone Stout from Mill Street. The most interesting thing about this is it is a nitrogen beer, like Guinness Draft. I think this is actually the very first nitrogen beer in Canada, so that's interesting, a little bit historic in itself. Like Guinness, it is 4.2% alcohol by volume. Cobblestone Stout has been, I think it's the first beer that Mill Street did, or one of the first beers they did. Um, I think this is the first time they ever released it, like outside of the brewery, though, like outside of their brew pub or whatever. So they decided that they wanted to go with um, a nitrogen can idea to try to help reproduce the feel of drinking it on draft. Um, but they can't take a widget like the Guinness cans or the Kilkenny or any of those other beers that are owned under the umbrella of who's it that owns all those guys, Diageo or whoever the fuck it is. Um, But yeah, so they had to come up with their own system. There's this little thing in the bottom. It's not like a rattling widget where you can hear the sound. It's just this little disc down the bottom that when you open it, basically does the same thing as the widget. Releases some nitrogen into it, gives you that cascading effect when you pour it. Makes it so you can pour it upside down, uh, totally vertical upside down, and it won't overflow in your glass. So that's very cool. Now I've already poured it, and cautionary tale here. I did spill some on myself. These cans, because of the different widget design, they're a bit more unstable than the Guinness Draft ones. Okay, so there's a bigger chance of it overflowing on you. So you should have a glass like right next to you, and you should go pour real quick in one motion. You should not hesitate or anything like that. I hesitated a little bit, and I paid for it. Um, That's why I didn't really do it on, didn't open it on camera because I didn't want to get anything on the computer or anything like that. So, but keep that in mind. You're supposed to have it very, very cold. You're supposed not to shake it, twirl it, or anything like that. You're not supposed to do fucking juggling with it or anything. So, just be cautious about that. But here is the final product poured. So you can see it's gone down a little bit. The head was like 3 or 4 fingers. The cascading effect is different on this one. It's not as pronounced as in the Guinness Draft one. Um, and the head on this, I actually like it a lot better. It's not that creamy white head. It's more of a tan approaching mocha kind of color. Um, and the head sticks around. It looks a bit more natural than the head in the Guinness Draft one. It actually looks more like a regular stout head, and it looks sort of milkshakey. Very, very good. So we'll go right to the aroma here. I'll let this warm up a little bit just so I get everything. Because, like I said, you have to have it like really cold when you're opening it. It has the temperature thing. It has to do with the fact that how the nitrogen releases in their little release thing down the bottom there. It's all very technical, and I have no idea how it really works. So don't ask me. Ask the albino rhino, because if you haven't seen it yet, he's done a video on this as well. So cheers. We'll go right to the aroma here. Okay, the thing you'll notice first, this actually has an aroma compared to the Guinness Draft one, which has almost no aroma. The Guinness Draft one has this very, very faint, you could almost say coffee, but it's more just like kind of a faint maltiness kind of thing going to it. And that's one of the problems with these sort of things. These nitrogen beers, they tend to cut out the body, and they cut out the aroma and the taste quite a bit. Um, in this case, it actually has a fairly nice little mild aroma, but it's nice. You get a lot more. You get like a milk chocolate, um, and a little bit of coffee in the back. Nothing big, just simple notes. So we'll go right to the aroma now, or taste. Cheers. And yeah, it's got a very, as expected, it's got a very smooth, creamy body. It is light bodied, but the smoothness and the creaminess, the whole texture of the thing sort of makes up for it in the mouthfeel. It makes it feel heavier than it really is. Um, right off the bat, you get more of that slight milk chocolate. It's like you made a Nestle Quick milk chocolate and you maybe put a little too much milk in it. That's sort of what it tastes like right up front. So you don't get a big, intense chocolate note. You just get sort of mild chocolate. Um, and then it moves over to a little bit of roasted coffee, and it finishes with this sort of ashy smokiness. Um, and overall, it's nice. It's decent. It has a little bit more flavor than the Guinness Draft. It's a much more desirable product, and it's got the same alcohol as the Guinness Draft. So I would buy it again. How much would I rate it though? Like honestly, as a beer on its own, in this format, it's not a great beer. It's not overly flavorful or anything like that, but it is a very smooth drinker, very drinkable, very sessionable at 4.2% alcohol by volume. I cannot give it any more. I don't think than 3 out of 5, and that's not a bad review. I don't think like I said, it just doesn't have a lot of flavor going on. Okay, if it had more flavor, I'd actually probably be pleasantly surprised, and I probably would up to a 3.5 or maybe even a 4, depending on how well they did with it. But just as a very good sessionable nitro stout alternative to Guinness, where you actually get some flavor, Cobblestone Stout is a winner. But I cannot give it any more than a 3.5 out of 5, honestly. And that's not a bad mark. That's not me shitting on Mill Street or anything. Like, they did a really good job here, and I'm actually pretty excited to try this. And if it is a mainstay in the NSLC, I'm going to be buying a lot more of this stuff because it's just a really decent beer to have around just to drink. And cool. Big thanks to Mill Street for getting to the NSLC. I was actually pestering the Albino Rhino to ask them if any of their other stuff was going to show up down here or not. And what do you know, it did. So it sounds like I'm going to have to pester the Albino Rhino a lot more in the future. Maybe get some really awesome stuff down here. And cheers, guys. We'll see you later.